The pharmacy receipt crinkled in my trembling hands as I stared at my sister Victoria across the coffee shop table. Her perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around her latte, that familiar smug smile playing on her lips. The same expression she'd worn since we were children whenever she thought she'd gotten away with something. "You know, Sophia," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "some women just aren't meant to be mothers. It takes a certain maturity." I'd suspected something was wrong for weeks. The nausea, the missed period, the strange way my birth control pills looked slightly different. More chalky, less uniform. But it wasn't until I'd gone to the pharmacy that morning for my monthly refill that everything clicked into place. "Mrs. Chin mentioned something interesting when I picked up my prescription today," I said, watching Victoria's face carefully. "She said my sister had been coming in regularly, asking very specific questions about my medication. Apparently, she was quite curious about the difference between birth control pills and vitamin C tablets." Victoria's smile faltered for just a moment before she recovered. "I have no idea what you're talking about. But I saw it, that telltale flush creeping up her neck, the same one that had given her away when she'd stolen my diary in high school, when she'd kissed my prom date, when she'd applied to the same college as me just to prove she could get in too. I found them, Victoria. The real pills. Hidden in your purse." Her composure cracked completely then. The mask she'd worn for 26 years of sisterhood finally slipped, revealing something ugly underneath. "So what if I did?" she snapped, leaning forward. "You don't deserve him, Sophia. You've never deserved anything good that's happened to you. Marcus is wasted on someone like you, someone so boring, so ordinary." The words hit like physical blows, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Someone like me?" "Yes." Victoria's voice rose, drawing stares from other patrons. "You with your little bookkeeping job, your quiet life, your complete lack of ambition. Marcus needs someone who can match his energy, his success. Someone who can give him the family he deserves. And you think that's you?" "I know it's me." She sat back, her confidence returning. "Do you know how easy it was? How eager he was when I started showing up at his office with lunch, staying late to help with his projects. How quickly he responded when I started texting him about my relationship problems. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I kept my voice steady. You've been manipulating him. I've been showing him what he could have. What he should have." Victoria's eyes gleamed with a fervor that made my skin crawl. "And soon, very soon, he'll realize it too. Especially when I tell him about the baby." The coffee shop seemed to tilt around me. "What baby?" "The one I'm carrying, obviously." She placed a protective hand over her still flat stomach. "His baby. The baby you were too selfish to give him, even after 3 years together." "Victoria, that's insane. Desperate." She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "No, Sophia. It's strategic. I've been tracking everything. Your cycles, your schedule, when you take your pills. I've been replacing them with vitamins for 3 months now. Long enough to make sure that when I seduce him properly, when the time is right, there won't be any complications from your end." The full scope of her plan crashed over me like a cold wave. She hadn't just been trying to steal Marcus. She'd been systematically sabotaging my body's natural defenses, trying to ensure I'd get pregnant at the worst possible moment to ruin my relationship. "You're sick," I whispered. "I'm in love," she corrected. "Something you clearly don't understand, or you would have fought harder for him." I thought about Marcus, sweet, trusting Marcus, who probably had no idea he was being stalked and manipulated by my own sister, who probably thought Victoria's sudden interest in his work was just sisterly concern for his fiancé's well-being. "He loves me," I said quietly. "He thinks he does. But love based on habit isn't real love, Sophia. When he sees what I can offer him, the passion, the excitement, the family he's always wanted, he'll realize what he's been missing." Victoria leaned forward again, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I've already stopped taking my birth control. And tomorrow night, when you're working late on those tedious quarterly reports, I'm going to his apartment. We're going to have dinner, wine, and I'm going to comfort him about how distant you've been lately, how focused on work, how you never seem to want to talk about your future together anymore." My blood ran cold. She'd been watching us, learning our patterns, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "And 9 months from now," she continued, "when I'm holding his baby and you're dealing with an unwanted pregnancy that ruins your precious career plans, we'll see who he chooses." I stared at her, this woman who shared my DNA, my childhood, my parents' love, and felt like I was looking at a complete stranger. When had she become this person? When had sibling rivalry transformed into something so poisonous, so calculated? Victoria, I said slowly, there's something you should know. What? Her tone was dismissive, like she was humoring a child. I pulled out my phone and showed her the pharmacy app, scrolling to my prescription history. I noticed my pills looking different 3 weeks ago. So I went to see Dr. Martinez. Victoria's confident expression began to waver. She confirmed what I suspected, that what I'd been taking wasn't birth control at all. So she gave me a different prescription. One I've been picking up myself, keeping in my purse, taking at work where you couldn't get to them. The color drained from Victoria's face. But here's the really interesting part, I continued, my voice gaining strength. Dr. Martinez also ran some tests. Comprehensive ones, including a pregnancy test. Victoria's hand moved unconsciously to her stomach again. Congratulations, Victoria. You're going to be a mother. Her mouth fell open. That's impossible. I haven't. Marcus and I haven't. Marcus and you haven't, no. But you have been spending an awful lot of time with Jake from your yoga class, haven't you? The one you told me was just a friend. The one whose car I saw leaving your apartment building at 6 a.m. last Tuesday. Victoria's face went white, then red, then white again. You've been watching me. I've been paying attention. Something you might have tried before launching this elaborate scheme. I leaned back in my chair, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over me. See, Victoria, the difference between us isn't that you're more passionate or exciting or worthy of love. The difference is that you've never learned to be happy with what you have. She opened and closed her mouth like a fish out of water. Marcus proposed to me because he loves me, not the version of me you think he should want, but me. My quiet life, my bookkeeping job, my ordinary dreams of a small wedding and a house with a garden. He loves that I read him poetry on Sunday mornings, and that I remember how he likes his coffee, and that I don't need to be the center of attention to feel valued. Tears were streaming down Victoria's face now, her careful makeup running in black streaks. But you, I continued, you've spent so much time trying to be what you think men want that you've forgotten who you actually are. And now you're pregnant with a baby whose father thinks you're just friends, planning to steal a man who's never given you any indication he's interested, all because you can't stand to see me happy. Sophia, No. I stood up, gathering my purse and coat. I'm done listening to you rationalize this. I'm going home to Marcus, and I'm going to tell him everything. About the pills, about your plan, about how you've been manipulating him. And then we're going to plan our wedding without you. Victoria grabbed my arm as I started to leave. You can't. He'll never believe you. And even if he does, do you really think your relationship can survive this? The doubt. The knowledge that your own sister thought she could steal him so easily. I looked down at her tear-stained face and felt something I'd never felt before. Not anger, not hurt, but pity. Victoria, the saddest part of all this is that you actually believe your own lies. You think love is something you can steal or manipulate or trick someone into. But it's not. It's something you build day by day with trust and honesty and genuine care for another person's happiness. I gently pulled my arm free. Marcus will believe me because he knows me. Really knows me. And our relationship will survive this because it's built on something real, not on the fantasy you've constructed in your head. As I walked toward the door, I heard her call out behind me. The baby, Sophia, what am I going to do about the baby? I turned back one last time. That's between you and Jake. But Victoria, for your child's sake, I hope you figure out how to love something more than you love the idea of winning. The drive home gave me time to think, to process what had just happened. My phone buzzed with increasingly frantic texts from Victoria. Apologies, threats, bargaining, denial. I turned it off. Marcus was in the kitchen when I got home, humming while he chopped vegetables for dinner. He looked up when I walked in, his face immediately creasing with concern. Sweetheart, you look like you've seen a ghost. I set my purse down and took a deep breath. Marcus, we need to talk. An hour later, we sat on our couch, my head on his shoulder, his arms wrapped tightly around me. He'd listened without interruption as I told him everything. About the switched pills, Victoria's confession, her plan to seduce him, the pregnancy that wasn't his. I can't believe she thought. He shook his head, his voice filled with disbelief and disgust. Sophia, in what world would I ever choose anyone over you? Let alone someone who could do something so manipulative, so cruel. She's my sister, I said quietly. I keep thinking there must have been signs I missed, warning flags I ignored. Hey! Marcus turned to face me, cupping my face in his hands. This isn't your fault. None of this is your fault. Victoria made these choices herself, and they say nothing about you except that you're trusting and loving enough to believe the best in people. Even people who don't deserve it? Especially then. He kissed my forehead gently. Besides, her plan was doomed from the start. Why? Marcus grinned, some of his usual lightness returning. Because I'm completely, hopelessly, embarrassingly in love with you. With your quiet Sunday mornings and your terrible jokes, and the way you organize our bookshelf by color instead of author. I'm in love with how you cry at dog videos, and how you always burn the first pancake, and how you hum while you do the dishes. Despite everything, I found myself smiling. Those are all very ordinary things. They're extraordinary to me. And Victoria? Victoria is a lot of things, but she's not you. She could never be you, no matter how hard she tried. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, processing the magnitude of what my sister had attempted. Finally, Marcus spoke again. What do we do now? I thought about Victoria, alone with her secrets and her pregnancy and her shattered schemes. I thought about our parents, who would be devastated when they learned what their younger daughter had done. I thought about the wedding we'd been planning, the life we'd been building, and how this betrayal might have destroyed it all if we'd been less solid, less sure of each other. Now we move forward, I said. We plan our wedding, we build our life, and we trust that love, real love, is stronger than manipulation. And Victoria? I sighed. Victoria will have to figure out her own life. I hope she gets help. I hope she learns to find happiness that doesn't come at someone else's expense. But that's not my responsibility anymore. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I'm proud of you. For what? For being strong enough to stand up to her. For trusting me and telling me the truth. For choosing us instead of letting her ruin what we have. I snuggled closer, breathing in his familiar scent, feeling his heartbeat against my cheek. Victoria had been wrong about a lot, especially about us. What we had wasn't ordinary or boring, and no one could take it away easily. It was special because it was built on truth, choice, and the daily decision to love and support each other, no matter what. Even this. The next morning, I got a text from Victoria. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. I'm going to tell Jake about the baby and figure things out. I think I need help. I showed it to Marcus at breakfast. He read it and looked at me. Do you think she means it? He asked. I thought carefully. I think she's scared and starting to see the consequences of what she did. Whether she actually changes, we'll see. Are you going to reply? I paused, then typed. Get help, Victoria. For your sake and your baby. When you're ready to talk honestly about making things right, let me know. I sent the message and put my phone away. Whatever happened with my sister would happen. But Marcus and we were going to be fine. As we finished breakfast, I caught Marcus looking at me like he sometimes did, like he couldn't believe his luck. What? I asked, laughing. Just thinking how lucky I am, he said. Not everyone gets to marry their best friend. Even a boring bookkeeper with ordinary dreams? Especially a brilliant accountant with big dreams, he said, pulling me in for a kiss. Even if one of those dreams is collecting garden gnomes. Hey, garden gnomes are classic. We laughed, and I realized Victoria had been right about one thing. Marcus did deserve a real woman's child someday. But she was so wrong about who that woman was. It was me. Always me. And when the time was right, we'd have that part of life too. Honestly, openly, with the same love and trust that had carried us through everything. Even betrayal. Even my sister trying to rewrite our story. Because the best love stories aren't about stolen or forced love. They're about people choosing each other again and again, seeing each other clearly, and protecting what they have. That kind of love can't be taken. It can only be given freely, received gratefully, and grown strong enough to face any storm. Even storms caused by family, jealousy, or desperation. On my drive to work, with the pharmacy receipt tucked in my wallet as proof of my sister's lies, I felt something unexpected, relief. Not just because I stopped her from doing more damage, but because the whole situation had shown me something important about my relationship. Marcus and I weren't just compatible or in love. We were solid, strong. A partnership that could handle anything because it was built on trust and strength inside. Victoria would find her own way, with or without help. But Marcus and we were going to be extraordinary together, in all the quiet, ordinary, beautiful ways that mattered most. And when we had children someday, it would be out of love, honesty, and choice. Not manipulation, not desperation, not twisted jealousy. Our children would be wanted. Planned. Ours. and that would make all the difference.